Ta-da.
Eh? Where?
Okay. Well, I guess if it works, it works.
Is it?
I'm not sure.
I don't see it.
Yeah, it's live by sorry, Emmanuel. Yes, we are live.
Okay.
Okay, thank you so much, Emmanuel. Okay, I think we are good to go.
All right. Okay.
Good evening, everybody. We have Dr. Marina here, and I'm Wan Carmen. Let's have Dr. Marina introduce herself first.
Hello, everybody. Assalamualaikum. Very good night to everybody who managed to join us today. Tonight. So this is our ever first BORAK session for this year. Okay, I'm a psychiatrist, also an ACT practitioner, and also a researcher. So I work in Johor Bahru, and I'm looking forward to share a good or maybe something eventful or a good sharing for everybody today with Carmen. So Carmen?
Okay, so I hold many different roles in the profession. I'm the president-elect of the ACBS Malaysia chapter, the platform where we are holding and hosting this BORAK session. I'm also an EXCO member of the Malaysian Society of Clinical Psychology. We are collaborating together with MSCP. And for those who know me in the profession, you will know that I really do enjoy collaboration. With psychiatrists, counselors, clinical psychologists, I treasure multidisciplinary approach to my clients, and also in my own personal life, you would know that I'm always in communication with different people from different professions. And so today we wanted to bring to you this BORAK session, which is the brainchild of Marina and I. We figured that we wanted an not so formal setting whereby we can share our thoughts, our experiences as psychiatrists and clinical psychologists in various different topics. And today we chose social media. And without further ado, I guess we can start off with social media and mental health.
Yeah. So Carmen, when you when thinking or talking about social media, okay? I think I'm at the age where the platform of social media that I always use is more Facebook rather than TikToks, Twitters. What about you?
For me, I started off with MSN, you know, MSN, and then to Facebook, and then now it's Instagram. TikTok, I have yet to step into the TikTok world. Seems like a different world altogether. So that would be me. Yeah.
You yourself as a user, meaning the user, or you as a contributor?
Mostly user, actually. I'm quite camera shy. So the most that I've done is this kind of Facebook, Zoom kind of approach here. Yeah. But I know for Marina, you've done like YouTube, you've done TikTok stuff, very different from me. Yeah.
Well, it's more of the part of me, the adventurous part of me that's willing to try new things just to get people to get interested in what we're doing here, to share the works that we've been doing. But I think going towards the topic which is talking about social media. So most probably everybody would be kind of curious, what are we going to borak for today? Yeah. But I think let's start in how social media has been affecting, what sort of influence that it has on your life.
My own personal life?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah,
okay.
your personal life.
I feel social media has pros and cons. Society would kind of want us to give like a absolute answer. Is social media good or bad for us in mental health? For me, I would say that there's good and there's bad. And if we were to move towards an acceptance and commitment therapies stance, it would be what is the function of social media for us, for me? And for me, I have benefited from networking, getting connected with friends who are no longer in the same city with me, same state with me. We constantly, not constantly, but we do occasionally connect through commenting on each other's Instagram stories. I use mostly Instagram nowadays, not so much on Facebook. My Facebook is mostly dead. Yeah. So Instagram,
You're younger than me.
I know other people, yeah. So I guess Marina is more on Facebook instead of Instagram.
That shows our age gap.
Oh no. Yeah, so for me, is Instagram is where I get connected to friends. Like we comment on each other's pictures, stories, and I have this childhood friend, meaning from sekolah rendah.
Mm.
Sekolah rendah, we're all in different state already, but we keep in contact through commenting on each other's stories. And then I was able to visit her in Kuantan many years back. And then only just recently she came back to Ipoh during the Chinese New Year period, and we got to hang out together again. And through her social media, she's an avid yoga practitioner. So she taught me yoga through Zoom. And then I see her posting stuff and I got inspired. And then I was like, oh, I want to buy yoga mat. Which one would be more suitable? And I was like, hey, this is where social media can be used beneficially.
Yep.
But there's also the other part of social media whereby doom scrolling, whereby we just scroll because we are overwhelmed by the world. We're overwhelmed and overstimulated with our lifestyles or daily activities. And then at night, that's what we call revenge bedtime procrastination. I try not to fall asleep because everything is out of my control in the morning and in the afternoon. And at night, the only time I have to control is to scrolling through Instagram or Facebook or YouTube. So this is where social media can be not very helpful. Yeah. So I think this is mostly my experience. Oh, and for the viewers out there, if you're still tuning in and Marina and I are no longer live anymore, please feel free to chip in and comment in the comment section below of our Facebook page, and we will respond to it accordingly. And you guys can put in your comments now. I am looking at it. This is me trying to have a look at what other comments is there, and we will try to address them one by one.
Yep.
Okay.
We'll try to respond to any questions or maybe any comments that you have in the comment session. Those who's live with us now, you can straight away comment if you have anything. But if, let's say, you're not able to be with us live, you can still put any question up there in regard of anything. It doesn't even have to do with whatever topics that we're doing right now. But I would say you are so right about the social media kind of like taking our time away from sleep. And I think it's not just me. Sometimes some client will come to me and saying, I can't sleep. So I go on my phone and open it up so that later on it help me fall asleep. This sense of what do you say, a false belief that we keep on going on our phone, slowly we'll fall asleep. It's like, how my dad was, whenever the TV are switched on, he'll fall asleep. When switch off the TV, he'll be so
Wake
awake.
up.
Oh, switch on, switch on the TV. I'm watching that. Dad, you're sleeping. Somehow people got the idea that if you keep on scrolling, when it's actually a bad idea for you to keep on going on using your phone when you're having trouble sleeping. But I think that's how social media kind of taking our time away from being able to actually have a good rest at night, especially at night. But I think like you said, where there's a good and a bad of social media. And I think in a certain way, like you said, we managed to do networking. We managed to get in contact with people far away, not just from the same states, a different country, we get that direct networking being done, because previously, most of the time, what happened is we go by email. So maybe a few hours later, or maybe in a few weeks later, the other person, or it may even be a snail mail. That's the only way we can connect to a person who's far away. Now we have video calls. We can have this kind of like Zoom meeting or Facebook Live for us to get connected with people that's far away. And I think somehow this is how we get connected as well, the networking that we've been. If not, I would have not known you, Sue Ann, although we're in the same committee, but somehow each of us are from a different states. Like I'm in JB, you're in Selangor, and Sue Ann is in Malacca. So people are all around the whole Malaysia, and we're still able to get connected, which is, I think that's the magic of social media.
Yep. And that is this is our function of using social media, which is to get connected. But very commonly, we hear stories and comments and questions that gets thrown to us, to psychologists, to psychiatrists as well. You know, sometimes or most of the time, we get so hooked on the lifestyle that's portrayed in social media, and we find ourselves consciously or unconsciously chasing that standard, chasing that expectation, that dream body, that dream relationship goals. You can see all those hashtags going around: relationship goals, healthy eating, and all those are all good and well, as long as we are aware that it is not affecting our day-to-day life. However, that's that question that comes in. So how do we get unhooked from being fused, meaning being immersed and obsessed with what social media portrays, which usually is all the positive stuff. We don't really see the unhappy moments, the struggles. There's a lot of happy moments. Would you like to answer that, Marina?
Yeah, of course, people will only want to show the outcome, the end. Nobody would want to actually show the struggle that they've been going through. And and I think that used to be portrayed in magazines previously. Remember previously, there's magazines, there's all this, they show people with really like the models and everything. So people wants to follow this model, how they
Yes.
need to look like. But now things are much more nearer. So each time you see very thin people, very lovely people with really like sharp face, really white skin, and kind of like giving this false belief to everybody that I have to be this way, I have to look this way, I have to be this like this person. Mm, the truth is that may not be the actual person that's showing themselves with the filters and everything. Even I'm wearing a filter. I would say, to say the truth, I'm wearing a filter. It's just because I'm at home and I don't want to put on any makeup. It's easier if I just put on the filter on, so that I don't have to worry about putting on a makeup on. But yeah, of course, for you to be on social media, for you to be out there, of course, you need to look presentable. I cannot be looking so comot, come out comot. But
Pucat-pucat.
yeah, but somehow there's a sense of, to certain people, that's the ideal, meaning, oh, I should look this way. I should be. Certain people are so fused with their ideas, in which that's how we are. I think that's how we as a human being has been modeled. We need a model. We need a model. Okay. And we want to kind of like follow the model. And sometimes we tend to get so fused, we tend to get so into whoever that we idol, that we forget that there's a certain realistic approach or realistic things that we forget, such as taking care of our health, making sure things are safe, uh, which sometimes we forget. And people starve themselves just so that they can look thin. They put fillers on themselves. They get infected. They go for plastic surgery, which I find that it can lead you to a dangerous behavior. It's the behavior that we're worried about. It's not about an idol looking like, oh, I love being able to look like this. I would love to be able to kind of like be able to live a luxurious life. But the same time, but I think the fact that the action that is going towards that goal, sometimes that's the thing that we have to worry, because if it's not going to be harmful, then it's fine. But what if they're doing things that are very harmful, that can cause more damage, and ended up they get mental health issues, and then come and see us, either you or me. We got Eugene, yes, right now. Actually, he's the one who came up with this idea. So, Eugene, anything you want to add on?
Sorry, let me just set up my camera for a while. And again.
Okay, it's okay, Eugene. We just bombarded him.
So I guess for me, one of the questions I would encourage viewers to ask themselves in this situation of, when you realize that you are chasing after a certain standard, certain expectation, and then you kind of like, hey, what am I doing here? My relationship with others are affected. My relationship with myself is affected because I'm so hard on myself. My worldview became very narrow. And then things are just focused on this one particular lifestyle topic or expectation only. And when we're there, we want to ask ourselves, is this XXX behavior bringing me towards or away from a life that is meaningful for me? Away or towards a life that I want to be for myself, to live with vitality, with meaning, with joy. So this would be an important question to ask ourselves. And that would be an indication of, hey, am I just chasing for the sake of chasing? Have I forgotten why I'm doing this? If what is important for me is to lead a healthy lifestyle, then it's not just about losing weight. It's not just about I need to exercise 4 times a week. It's not just that. What is beyond that living healthy would mean for me, for you?
Yeah.
Yep. And we have Eugene here. He is our past president of our ACBS Malaysia chapter, and also a fellow psychiatrist. I'm outnumbered. I need more clinical psychologists with me. Go ahead, Eugene.
One of the things we talk about is always finding out the context. And I will tell you upfront now, I seem to have bits and pieces of the context of your conversation, but I am very afraid that whatever I comment would be not really in line. So maybe a quick summary or a quick brief,
Sure.
just to orientate me a bit.
We were talking about social media and mental health, and how there's a culture of doom scrolling happening, and there's a culture of revenge bedtime procrastination that does happen through scrolling Instagram or Facebook or YouTube. And then Marina and I were talking about our own personal experience of the benefits of social media, which is networking, getting connected to people who are far away from us. Us connecting with each other is all part of social media. So that was the gist of it. And then we went on to questions about how can we unhook ourselves from being so obsessed or so fixated on a certain lifestyle or standard portrayed in social media.
More like a false value instead of actual values, I would say.
I've always go back to the idea of perspective with regards to these kind of things. Again, going back with the idea of context, I use social media from a long time ago to reground myself at work. Spend hours and hours listening to all your patient's story. Eventually, you lose track of what is normal. You seem to see the world as a very bleak world. And I would actually use scrolling in social media as a means of just regrounding myself back to reality. But that was the early days of social media. Right now, with all the technology where they seem to suggest things that they would like to suggest, um, things can go out of hand very quickly. One of the examples I commonly say is that if I ask someone a particular topic regarding psychiatry, and sometimes we talk about, say, the extreme end, a pervasive sexual condition. Next thing I know, I opened Facebook and they started recommending where I can find that particular condition. Not in a disorder way, but in a pleasurable way. And I think in a way, the algorithm itself, of this is designed to ensure that we do actually get hooked upon it. It's designed to make sure that we get drawn upon it. It's not always accurate, but to a point, it buys into what makes us feel happy.
Yep.
And I think that's the one that kind of drains and makes us going on and on and on about the doom scrolling and all this thing. As much as I like to say, let's contact the present moment, let's do mindfulness and all these things. Doesn't work in reality. Even my own phone, I actually set a time limit for Facebook. So after 15 minutes within the day, it will actually remind me that I've exceeded. Yes, I do swipe it off, but at least it pops out every time I open to remind me. And like it or not, I think we do somehow have to make these kind of choices. Otherwise, again, I would echo what Joe said. It's not a bad thing, social media, but it can be a problematic thing. Much like alcohol, you could use it to sterilize something for injections, but at the same time, if you drink excessive amount of it, it can cause problems. I would say that social media and all this is the same. It's off the same page and of the same idea. Those are just some of my thoughts.
One of the example that I had with my client, she uses social media as a form of coping with her hurt that she has experienced in her day-to-day living. And she doesn't like that feeling of feeling hurt, feeling betrayed, feeling frustrated, feeling sad. So what does she do? Every time she feels shaken, or she's in a very uncomfortable conversation, when she goes home, instead of sitting with those emotions and processing them and holding those emotions, she scrolls through Instagram. And we read through our conversation, my conversation with this client, we realized that pattern. Every time there's a difficult or uncomfortable emotion situation, she turns to social media, whether it's YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram. So then what we did as an intervention was that she went on a 30 days fast from social media. And that's when she realized that almost nearly every second, every moment of the day, in her whole day, she will kind of like automatically would want to open that Instagram or open that Facebook just to scroll a little bit. And so during that fast, because she had to uninstall all those programs on her phone, so when she opened her phone, she's like, "Aya, I cannot click anything. It's not there." So that made her realize that, wow, I'm so dependent on different forms of social media to avoid my emotions, my feelings, my experience. So then when she saw and experienced that pattern herself, we talked about it and we focus on, so let's start talking about these emotions then. Let's start experiencing these emotions together and hold flexibly your social media usage. Now you know this is your pattern. Doesn't mean that you need to cut off social media altogether. We learn how to build different behaviors, different pathways. And that was her experience, that realization. And there's something that Ziyi mentioned in the Facebook Live along the lines of, it's good to have some reference for seeking values, meaning seeking the things that's meaningful for us. And we can always flexibly choose what suits us.
Yep. Are not fixed upon their values, then it become a rigid rules in which sometimes it happens that it became a rigid rule instead of an actual kind of more like a guidance for us. I see values more like a guidance. It'll guide us, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a rule that you must follow the rules. But sometimes we do get hooked on a certain ideas or a certain ideal that kind of
Mm.
like, because, oh, I need to look rich. I need to go to these luxurious places. I remember when I first started using FB,
Mm.
I was kind of like posting almost everything. And after a while, I became paranoid
Mm.
because like people started sharing the fact that, okay, some people might use the pictures that you've been posting about your kids, knowing certain. So I started not posting things that are personal, like my house, my car, and I stopped doing that.
Mm.
even even whenever I'm somewhere, I never say that I am here, just in case if somebody is watching and wants to actually kind of rob
Follow.
my house. And no,
Yeah, yeah,
just
yeah.
like, knowing that I'm not at my house, I want to rob my house. You know, sometimes
Mm.
you get that kind of idea, like kind of paranoid ideas that just came up. But that is just us here, meaning sometimes people, I've met up with people who are being stalked
Mm.
while they're on social media, which can be quite scary. Really, it can be very, very scary, up to the point where she had to delete all of her social media because that person started not just stalking, even started to threaten her as well. In which this is where social media can be a dangerous place to be in. So, any of you guys, do you have any opinion in regard of that matter where social media can become a dangerous place for predators, or for maybe for people who are looking for victims?
I think it's not just social media. Anything can be used as a means for something dangerous. Whether it's for sexual predators, or whether is it for stalking. Unfortunately, we are in a world where everything is pretty much very connected. Social media being one of them. So I know of clients, friends, people around me who are more cautious. And I know those who are, I'm okay. Knowing all these risks, I still feel okay with what I share. Um, I think the question would be, with all this, whether social media, my daily life, how is it impacting my life with myself, my life with others? If it reaches to a point where I'm so secluded because I'm so paranoid 24/7, then we know that this is not the kind of life that you would want to continue living. This isn't very meaningful. In fact, it's very debilitating to be in that situation. So how can we move flexibly with that, being cautious and also maintaining connection with others, finding that balance? And that balance can be very different for you, for me, for Eugene. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Eugene?
I got reminded of when you were saying those things. I actually got reminded of my own experience. I I don't think social media is a extremely dangerous thing. I think some of the things highlighted by Marina has been there. I'm of the generation that I grew up with things like ICQ and IRC. I'm not sure that both of you are familiar with it.
I'm, I'm that old.
Right.
Sorry, I don't know what that is.
So I'm from that generation.
Yeah,
I
our
was
generation.
in fact, I was one of those early adopters, and I have a huge network of friends back then when growing up, and even since then, I've always had this sort of and this is something I hold lightly, but I've always had two identities. I've always looked. There is one identity that you see on the digital page. Back then we don't have Facebook, we have Friendsters, we have even personal homepage, um, and forums. I would say the identity of those things that's being expressed, the manners and all those things would reflect a very different me. Uh, and I have met people from there who to today are very close friends with me,
Mm,
and we know how we are online, and we know how we are offline.
offline.
Um, so what I'm trying to say is that I've always hold on to this idea that social media is not a necessary evil. It's just part and parcel of how we evolve as humans, as technology. It's going to be there. It always will be there. But it would not be any difference from just like how we tell a child not to follow a stranger danger. It's just the same, slightly different perspective that we hold on to it when we interact also online. We just need to learn that stranger danger actually happens online also, but it's a skill that needs to be learned from a young age. What makes it difficult is that for some of us, like I assume that since Kaman is not, then Marina and I grew up with this evolving technology. And along the way, we actually have to learn how to adapt to it, because stranger danger back then in IRC is you don't answer your ASL questions in the correct answers or you'll be problem.
Yep.
For those who don't know what ASL is, go Google it, you might be able to find it. But yeah,
You
and
know
now
about that.
instead of ASL, now you just say you don't put your photos. I think it's always evolving, and I think it will evolve also.
And actually, that's how I got to know my husband through online.
Oh,
You go. And with regards to stalking, I'm a victim of stalking. I got stalked before, literally, virtually. In fact, we had to make police report. It's not going to deter me from using social media. Of course, I'm still actively in social media, but I think it goes back to that same idea, stranger danger. I'm going to guess, even if it didn't happen online, it would have happened physically also. There's always that risk, there's always that potential, and along the way we have to grow with it. What's interesting is, because when I look at this historically for what you say, I can't help but get reminded of the idea of conceptualized self, and also perspective taking. Two things. One, indirectly, we're not aware that we actually shift through this idea of ourself with digital world. We change accordingly. We change with AI coming up and all these things. It's going to shift the way of how we actually interact. I don't mean AI, I mean technology. And I'm curious to actually see, would anyone actually struggle when they only get stuck with the technology at a certain age? We do see this sometimes with elderly people who now don't quite know how to use social media, and they're posting random things that can get them or others into trouble. That's one. But the other thing is that if they hold on strongly to that idea of who they are online without shifting, without taking different perspective into consideration, I can foresee how that actually impacts someone's flexibility towards life then. If I'm stuck towards this one idea of a technology, if I'm stuck towards this one idea of my virtual identity, potentially that can cause problems. Potentially either I start losing touch with current progress. I can give you an example. How many of you here know what RSS is? I'm guessing none, can. But there are people who use RSS to keep in touch with the world. It's a very old technology actually, but there are people who uses it. That's just one example. And there's so many new technology and innovations that's coming up. We have to be flexible enough to adapt and attempt and try new things. But at the same time, we struggle when we keep switching all this. So on one hand, I'm thinking is, if are we stuck with our conceptualized self, or our conceptualized self becomes so fluid, both potentially can cause problems.
Is who am I in this whole situation? Who am I in terms of me in front of the keyboard, in front of the laptop? Who am I behind that? My persona behind all this sometimes it could be a curated social media content. And then do we
very curated.
Exactly. This one not as curated lah. This one BORAK session questions
I don't mean
just come and go.
I don't mean it, but because I have multiple social media accounts. My Instagram, I have 3 accounts. But they're all very curated. If you look at them individually, it's 3 different Eugenes.
But does that mean we are just those curated persona? We are not.
In fact, on the context you're interacting with me.
That's
I
also
think
true.
in reality, certain contexts you react to me, I will very much that same persona being that. But then again, I say Instagram. It's a reflection of my age. It's a reflection of my generation. I'm not using TikTok. I'm not using Xiaohongshu. I'm not using X. I'm not using Discord. I actually have a Discord account. I'm just not using it. In fact, just yesterday, I got commented by someone who says that the English word I use is very Gen Z and it's not appropriate. It's not according to their age. And the person actually taught me how to spell according to their generation.
Oh my.
I ignored it because it was a student and I thought that was highly inappropriate. But yeah, so I think that context itself actually would keep changing. And where do we draw the line then?
Yeah, and therefore, if we hold so tightly of this is my only identity, my sense of worth is based on the number of likes that I get online, then that would be very, very difficult to live, because then I have to keep chasing after trends, I have to keep chasing after those likes. And so the question of, do we allow social media to control us, or do we allow ourselves to use social media with the whatever functions that we want to use it for? And
Yeah.
that is how we can also slowly distance ourselves from the identity of my sense of worth is based on the number of likes, the number of hits, the number of whatever that's generating out there. And that is something that we all struggle with at different points of our lives, which, like how Eugene said, the reality is social media is very much very in our face. It's everywhere. Advertisements is everywhere. Algorithms are being set up to get our attention. And so, how to say, even though we are from different generation, we've experienced social media very differently, but in the end, the final, how to say, common denominator is still the same, which is how social media can impact our mental health and our lifestyle, regardless of whether it's Facebook, 小红书, MSN, Instagram, whatever it is. And so, yeah, I think this is a very, very important conversation to have. Marina, any input on this one?
I would say, in regard of what identity that we bring into, I think we do that as well when we are playing a different roles in a different place, in different areas of our lives, such as when we are with our colleagues, when we are friends, when we are part of professionals. Okay. And meaning, as long as we remember who we are, right? As long as we remember who we are, that's where the self-as contact comes in. And the fact that who we are showing in the social media, we can show whoever that we want to be, as long as you can still remember your own self, who you are. That social media is not just you. It's maybe the part that you want to show people, the part that you are willing people to know, to get to know you. Okay, I think that's how social media might be helpful, because in a certain ways that it allows you to reconnect with old friends, with maybe your families who's far away, and to get updated on what your family is doing, because I have some family who are staying overseas, so that's the only way that that's going on with their life. That's how they inform everybody, so without having to say, I'm going through this, I'm going through so they just announce it on Facebook, okay, or Facebook or Instagram. So I think that's how social media can be very helpful to help us to get updated. And even now, any news, we can actually get it online. Things are being shared. Unlike before, you have to open the newspaper, or you actually have to open the TV to see the news, to know what's going on. Okay, but now everything is within your hand. It's just that you have to be careful about what you are going to disperse to everybody else, because some of the news that's being shared, or some of the information that are being shared, can be false news, and which sometimes might get you into trouble. I think that's happened when people who are a little bit more elderly. They have a tendency, this is very important information I need to share. I think just to be careful in which, that's where the age comes in, and how we're using social media, either in a safe way or either in an appropriate way. I think that's my last words for our session today lah. Eugene, you have any last words before we end our session today?
Instead of recapping everything you all said, I would leave my last word more as a question. uh, and I think it's a bit of information here. Our current so-called AI, it's language-based, meaning that it learns a certain degree of patterns of language to the point where it can generate back responses very similar to an actual human. But we know it's not up to there yet. It actually doesn't understand context yet, but it can generate language. Where are we going? How are we going to adapt then to this? This is where I would leave you as a question, because I would not know the answer to this, but we are already seeing signs of it. We are already seeing signs where people, because of the language used by AI, it blurs the line between reality. It seems as if we are talking to another very real person.
Mm.
Where is our mental health going to shift towards that? I'm actually predicting that we are going to have one new generation who will interact with this sort of mental health very differently. They can actually be very good comforters. Some of these AI language models, they know how to mimic the right language for empathy, the right language for comfort. But again, without understanding truly context at this moment of time of technology. And I'm not worried, but I am very curious to see where this would end up with, because it would truly question what actually it means to be human. Do everything we go through can be simplified with a language that a machine could generate? Is it only truly that? And if that is, then our mental health won't have any problems. But if it isn't, I foresee more and more problems with the mental health when people will start struggling with that kind of reality. I am very curious, but at the same time, I remain optimistic, because again, not too long ago, people thought ASL and all this was very dangerous and all these things, and then it seems that most of us turn out just fine. I would like to very much look forward to see where that will go.
And for
Yep.
me, it's more of a, in this age of social media, networking, everything is all with a touch of your fingertips. Whatever that we are doing, whatever that you are doing, is it bringing you away or towards the kind of life that you want to live, that you want to be as a human being, with yourself and with others? And if it's bringing you towards that kind of life, that meaningful life that you're striving for, go ahead. But if it's not, then now would be the time of us taking a step back and reflect on, where is it that I need to shift my perspective, shift my path to head on towards that kind of life and that kind of person that I want to be. And that is where social media and mental health would come hand in hand in bringing us towards that direction. And that is all for tonight. If you have any other questions, please put it on the comments in the Facebook Live below. We will comment and answer that after this whole thing has ended. Yeah.
Not me or
Thank you.
Carmen. Maybe the rest will also be answering your
Yes.
question or
Correct.
comments on whatever you've typed in. So thank you everybody for spending the night with us. I think the time flies so fast.
It's
Okay.
true.
Yeah, right. Okay, so good night, everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight.
And
See
you
you
have also,
next
if you
time.
have any other like ideas or what kind of BORAK session topics you want to hear from us, do drop a comment down there, and we
Yeah.
will have a look and think of coming up with the next BORAK session together.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody. And now I will stop the live.